Hello and welcome back. Um, just a brief little break from the beta version of Stationeers. This is um, this is the game I was playing with the release version of Stationeers before I got the brilliant idea to install the beta. Um, it's by no means neat, but there is a lot here to unpack. This was originally my starting area, which has expanded greatly. It's not particularly a breathable atmosphere, but it is pressurized. Mainly for the purposes of the doors working correctly, but that's a whole different thing. We have the solid fuel generator, which is hooked up to a large queuing of hydrocarbons. There are ICs that control um, automatically turning the generator on and off based on when the batteries are in need as opposed to running it constantly. Um, Power is always going to be a problem in stationeers, at least the way I play. But you can see the massive bank of batteries right here. This was meant to be like a kitchen slash living area. Um, this area was originally going to be more livable, atmospherics wise, but that kind of didn't happen exactly right. Lots and lots of spare batteries. That's primarily because I have upgraded mostly to the nuclear batteries, but I can't bring myself to recycle the large batteries. They come in real handy on occasion. Lots of lockers, excesses of seeds everywhere, and I have made a whole lot of food. I could literally stop making food for probably an in-game month without touching much of anything. This is one of the vending machines that I have set up for use with the traders. More batteries out there. Chemistry station, reagent processor. If you've been watching any of my beta series, you'll actually know why I have stackers connected to things. We have the advanced packaging machine. That's basically how you get the cans of food. We have the automated oven, again with a stacker. Refrigerator. Poor Amy. I never got it working quite correctly, but makes a nice little mascot to look around. Speaking of mascots, there's a kitty cat. We have an air scrubber because I want to make sure that we keep pollutants out of this area because I do use the welder from time to time and I don't want to blow up. I have done exactly that. This is the primary stationary computer that I'll use for programming IC10s. I am horrible at writing fresh MIPS code. I have done it, but primarily I will find something on the workshop and then modify it for my specific need. For the most part, I can use somebody else's code directly, but I always push the envelope just a little bit to where I have to edit it. Let's see, we have the Atmos printer, lots of pipes, chutes, and filters have come out of that. We have the electronics printer, again with the stacker. We have the auto lathe. You'll notice that all of them are upgraded to tier 2. We have the tool maker for when I take a horrible fall and break my suit. We have the fire extinguisher. I've used it. More storage. This is a little bit macabre, but I tend to put my skulls from when I have died in a locker. Around Halloween, I'll probably decorate the place with my remains. I know, it's weird. A couple of spare large batteries right here, just in case, for tools. I have the beginnings of, like I said, the recycler here. Miscellaneous tanks, ice crusher. This is where I was separating oxygen and nitrogen. Nitrogen? Yes, nitrogen. This is tank fill for filling regular canisters, same as this. Oh, it's on the other side. I have for filling volatiles, air tanks. I actually refill the air tanks on the container mount. I always have two. I need to take one somewhere else when I'm further away. I can take one with me, but it always comes back here to get refilled. We have a pressure regulator so that we don't make a huge mess. We were originally setting up, it's unfortunately with the beta getting so close to becoming the main release, it's never going to get fixed, or finished, I should say. But we actually did have the beginnings of oxygen and nitrogen and CO2 pipe work going all the way to the main grow room at the far end of the complex here. Here we have fuel mixing. This has mostly been taken apart. I used to have, well, let's just say more going on that used fuel inside here. But after I started getting too many leaks, hence the scrubber for getting pollutants out, I've had this building completely explode, burn, and had to rebuild it. I rebuilt it at least twice from explosions, either overpressure or literal explosions. On Mars, one of the cheapest, easiest ways to maintain the temperature, believe it or not, is just to have an active pump outside, run it through a pipe with some radiators and a vent. That will actually exchange enough heat from in here to keep this area from boiling. One of the main reasons I wanted to show you a little bit about my old base, yes, I know there's a video with no narration.
Hunger caution.
I'm not that hungry yet. One of the reasons I wanted to show you the old base was to emphasize just how much they changed the deep miner. Here's my advanced furnace. It is not the automated variety at this particular moment. I actually have to use dials and set and pay attention to pressures and temperatures. But it works. I have a buffer tank that I can use for increasing and decreasing pressure, and of course I can add materials to get it hotter when I need to. This is the bulk input for the sorting system. So if I had something here that I wanted to put into the silo system, I have a place I can just dump it in. There used to be a combustion centrifuge in here. That's, by the way, why there was the fuel mixer. I was getting too much trouble with having fuel inside the building with burst pipes and whatnot, and that's what caused so many of the explosions. Anyway, moving right along, we'll go out here to the outer area. Well, it's still inner, but this is more of the production area for, I have filtration of all the different gases. And this is the important end of the silo system with stackers, sorters. The system is actually backed up so much because I have so much ores. I have more than I know what to do with. But basically I have a silo for each type of ore, It comes into the system, it goes through a sorter, which either says, yes, this is gold, stacks it into 50s, and puts it into the silo. I have one for each ore. And when we get down here to, for example, iron, I actually have a couple of occasionally arc furnaces just for relieving the pressure a little bit with overly filled silos. For example, this particular one is pretty close to full. And I have multiple iron stacked together. It comes in from the top, comes out the front, and just daisy chains right into the next one, into the next one. Over here we have the main input from the wow, I'm losing words. From the centrifuges and from the, this is from the deep miners, which goes to the centrifuges. So let's go ahead and go outside and take a look at that real quick. With the way they nerfed the deep miner in the beta, this type of setup no longer will work. But it sure was fun while it lasted here with the first gen, or with the before the beta, before the new terrain and the beta version. Out here we have more gas separation. We have ice crushers for oxygen and for volatiles. We have fuel mixing, regulators, and so forth. And here is the heart of my ore system, the combustion centrifuges. And as you can see, it has a distribution of every ore that the deep miner can pull. And that's one thing that's very, very different from the beta. The beta has specific areas and regions where a deep miner will pull specifically silver and gold, or just gold, or just nickel, or nickel and whatever. As you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and if I'm not mistaken, I think I still have one over here. I may have taken it out. Yeah, apparently I've taken it out. For sake of neatness. I know, that's hypocrisy. But basically, these, which suck down so much power, they will feed into a common input, set of chutes. They will go in, come back out here, and get split in an overflow type of pattern into the centrifuges. Now, these centrifuges are, of course, fuel-based, and they are all spinning at 526 RPM versus 100 of the electrically powered centrifuge. That means they process ore much, much, much faster. And these are IC controlled. I did not write the script, but the script is awesome. I'll give a proper attribution if I can, but needless to say, somebody was very, very smart and did a great job, because getting these actually up and running, and you know, they deal with a lot of stress if you start them wrong. They deal with a lot of stress when you stop them wrong. That script is wonderful, and it automatically stops it to exit, to empty itself when it's full, and then properly restarts itself. So all of these will exit through here, and then they make the trip to the sorter, the set of sorters that feed all the silos. And that's how I have more or less the infinite resources in this particular game, without spawning, without creative, without, cheating. I actually do have a rocket that has run out of fuel and the batteries are dead. I just haven't abandoned it yet. Launch pad, fueling tower. And I'd rather that this were daytime when I were doing this, but it is what it is. I have a absolutely massive solar array. Massive. And this isn't even counting that I actually have a couple of solar panels inside. Solar panels inside, you say? How does that work? Well, you might have noticed that I'm really fond of glass buildings, which, by the way, is horrible for trying to grow anything. It screws up the day-night cycle for your plants. But long before I was able to make the heavy-duty solar panels that were safe to leave out in a storm without having to repair every 5 minutes, I had standard solar panels, and they'll work through glass. So I kept them safe from the storm by keeping them indoors. And I like the aesthetic of the glass buildings. It's not, I'm not encouraging it. I'm just easily amused, and it was nice. So now that we're at this end of the building, this is how I control my solar panels. It reads a daylight sensor, it does a little bit of math, and it writes it back out to the solar panels. Now with the beta, I'm going to try and do it with an IC, and I'm also going to at least try to use the solar panels where the data and the power are a single connector, because the routing of the cables gets really, really tricky when you're dealing with both sides. For example, this cable curves under and goes underneath down through here to get back to here so that it doesn't short between these. And I've had, shall we say, difficulties dealing with mixing of data and mixing of power when it comes to controlling the solar and other things for that matter. But I'm going to be using an IC. I didn't write the MIPS code, so I'll try to either congratulate the person for writing great code, or I'll be cussing slightly to myself while I mute the microphone if I have to rip it all back out and go back to something like this. But I figured, at least with the new beta, since I have to get, the logic, I'm one step away from just building an IC housing and using ICs and maybe making things a little bit easier for myself. Probably not, but it'll be fun. This is a ice crusher for water. This is the backside of my grow room. If we look at it from the roof, you'll see some of the other infrastructure. This is my large landing pad with the runway. It is capable of large ships. I do not have a enclosed hangar for the atmospheric traders. And again, considering the beta is so close to becoming the new standard, it probably won't ever actually get finished. That's kind of the nice thing about these sandbox survivals. They don't ever have to be finished. You can just keep having fun. But that's me. Some people just like having goals and, finishing everything they start. So, let's go into the grow room. Now, this area is way more controlled, but it's not what I would call a livable atmosphere. That's because I keep the carbon dioxide dangerously
Put it on.
high. Dangerously high to facilitate faster growing of the plants. I also have the automated Lorry system set up in here, and honestly, it produces more food than I can use. I've been trying to get fertilized eggs for chickens and whatnot from the traders, and I haven't been very fortunate with that. I actually have two scrubbers, both set for impurities, just to keep impurities out of this room. If one has a dead battery or one has a bad filter, the other one's probably still working. I have the automatic oven again. I have the reagent processor. I have an air conditioner set to keep this room at whatever temperature I so desire. Currently, it's set for 25. There's the water tank that is connected to the backside of that ice crusher. By it being inside, the water is going to be an appropriate temperature for the plants. Everything ends up in the refrigerated vending machine. I was trying to get a system working that would auto fertilize, but between my own coding skills and other people's scripts that I wasn't able to properly bend to my will, it basically takes seed, it plants it, it harvests it. As far as fertilizer, I've pretty much been doing it by myself. But that's okay. I'm okay with that for right now. And like I said, this particular session, this game is sadly, it's had a really good run, but it's probably coming to an end because I'll probably be moving over to the beta somewhat permanently. But it is kind of nice to watch the Laurie doing your work for you. I do have probably um, too many trays for it to maintain because it's inefficient as far as it makes one trip back and forth. I've seen other people using scripts that can multi-harvest and pick up the entire 4, 5, 3, so forth all at once and do a lot more efficiently. But I haven't been able to find one that I like and can modify without breaking it. And I haven't put the time into it to do it correctly. I actually leave a tablet on a stand right here so I can keep an eye on the percentage of oxygen, nitrogen, and CO2. You pretty much want to keep the CO2 around 4 or 5% for the plants to grow quickly. To make it more breathable, you'd want to adjust more. It's close to breathable, but it's not quite there. That's a grow room, plain and simple. And it has the advanced airlock to keep things very, very separate, which is also in part why this non livable area over here is pressurized, mostly for keeping the doors working more correctly. That little yellow light goes on when it's out of coal to keep the generator running, which, by the way, is why all these large batteries are fully charged. My livable area is completely and totally separate from, well, everything. It's actually in there. So, let's take a quick little trip. And I'm going to keep this fairly short. I mean, this is already about 20, 24 minutes in at this point. Hey, it's finally daylight. This is the composter where I put a lot of excess food and whatnot in to create the fertilizer. Water tank, because the composter uses copious quantities of water. So let's go in here real quick. I'm impatient. Now, as you can see, I have the output of the composter just literally dumping into this room. I know, not cool, but it is what it is. I have a air conditioner with a dead battery. I have I believe this is a heater. Or no, that's a cooler. Okay. Yet another one of my skulls. I just leave body parts everywhere. Spare batteries. This is basically a good panic room if I'm on the wrong side of the base and a storm is coming and I need to get inside in a hurry. Or my batteries are low and I can get to this faster than something else. I do have the wireless transmitters for the wireless battery. But when I get too far away, well, you just use a large battery or a nuclear. We have another refrigerator, should be empty. And we have the old school beacon. The new beta actually gave purpose to the lander. The lander, after you've gotten all of your stuff off it in the beta, still has a beacon, so there's no more excuse for getting lost. Well, I don't have a wired beacon on this base, but I always keep this set up, and here's one of the wireless batteries that is, very happily charged by, where did it go? It was right here. Oh, right there. So, as long as my base has power, this tracking beacon should always work. The microwave, so forth. And this is my abandoned grow room. Looks like it's actually gotten cold enough to have ice forming in there. That's probably not good. Oh yeah, it's below zero. So any of the liquid moisture that was in the atmosphere has essentially frozen into ice. I stopped temperature controlling this because once I had the Lari up and running, I stopped. But pure ice water, awesome. And like I said, the air conditioner is basically there for keeping it from getting too hot. We have air conditioner over here because for a while I was having a hard time keeping it cool. Obviously we have the water. We have that's why we have ice in here. I have a broken pipe. Those are fun. Probably it got too cold. It burst. But basically the lights are controlled by a chip. This is just a standard light. And I think I've burnt out a wire. I think that's what happened in here. I think I blew one of these standard cables. And my base was just chaotic enough that I couldn't find exactly where everything was broken. And, well, like I said, once I had the Lari up and running, I kind of abandoned that section. And like I said, this area, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. This area is a little chilly, but I do believe it's actually livable. Let's find out the hard way. Yeah, I'm not gasping. I'm not complaining. I mean, it's cold, but it's a breathable atmosphere. You can eat in here with your helmet off. You can take your suit off long enough to get rid of the gripiness of I've been in my suit too long. It's a safe room and it's the proper atmosphere. And of course, we have water. So let's go ahead and go back out. I'm going to go back over to the kitchen area is what I usually call it, and go ahead and get a little bit of food, because I'm going to just end up saving this game and ending this video very soon. I had a short tour of this same base, not, well, I was going to say not too long ago. It's actually been closer to 10 months ago, and things have changed since then. But my audio track was completely and totally missing, making for a nice to look at video, but not particularly, not exactly what I was hoping for. I'll put it that way. So let's go ahead and grab some food real quick. I prefer to make sure that I'm properly fed and hydrated before I save a game. That way I don't just go off on some expedition and starve. It was bitching about my filter, but I'm not going to do anything about that right now. But anyway, I suppose I could give you one last, well, it's dark out. I was going to give you one last view from the outside to see how expansive this is. Like I said, I have the comms terminal for the traders. I have the telescope. By the way, it's really hard to use. I have the small, the medium, and the large dish. I typically only use the large. They are turned off right now because of just how much power they consume. I have a script for automatic tracking, but it isn't very efficient. This is the beginning of a expansion to the grow room that is probably not going to get finished. Again, because of the beta very soon becoming the release, and so many things have changed. This was going to be Grow Room 3 and Grow Room 4 with another attempt at the auto fertilization application. This is what the roof looks like from the different stations for the Lari. It's kind of cool. And you also get to see some of the hidden wiring for the grow lights and so forth from up here. But just another beautiful night out here on Mars. This is, I have probably worked on this base. It has so many flaws, and I love every last one of them. So anyway, 35 minutes worth of just showing you around the place. It's almost a farewell to this base because, like I said, I'm pretty much moving over to the beta version. I'm kind of sad that they nerfed the deep miner so dramatically, but live and learn. I like a challenge. You know, I'm not above making things just a little bit easier for myself from time to time. But this base was built in normal mode, not easy. And nothing was spawned, nothing was cheated into existence. This was just all work. And it's chaotic, it's a mess, and I'm still proud of it. So, hope you enjoyed the quick little retour, this time with narration, of my release version, Stationeer's Base. The new one will probably look a little similar and a whole lot different in different aspects. But this is where I was. I mean, I've started and played multiple games with the Moon, the Mars, and so forth in Stationeers. But this is the base that I've been building for well over a year. Till next time, be safe.